guys, how's it going? So we're going to do a garden tour today. We are mid-July and we've been given the gift of an overcast morning right in the middle of a super intense heat wave. We've had at least a week, maybe more, of temperatures over 100, and the 10-day is all above 100. I can put a screenshot on the screen for you right now. The one thing to know about our 100-degree temperatures or 100 plus is that it is dry heat and we do cool down at night. So you can see the low temperatures. I think they're somewhere in the 70s. So it gives you and your plants a little bit of a break, and I think that's the only reason why they survive through our summer months. Also, I don't know how much of the overcast this morning is due to cloudiness as much as it's due to all the fires that are surrounding us right now. The air quality is absolutely horrible, and the fires are like I think they're level 1 evacuation for the town Vale, which is one town over from us. So anyway, it's just been kind of a horrendous July up to this point, but there are some pretty things in the garden. Now we do have a lot that I feel like needs to be cut back, it needs to be groomed, deadheaded at this point, but it's been so hot that we're basically just trying to get things watered and then move on to things inside or in shaded areas. So you'll see a lot of that through this tour, but you will also see some glorious things like this fountain that we turned into a container this summer. It's the base of the Kensington, 3-tier Grand Kensington, anyway, fountain that we had in our triangle shaped garden. I stained it, we moved it in here, and it's just absolutely beautiful. If you get in close, you can see there's a lime-time coleus in the center, kind of bringing that lime color along with the Sweet Caroline, Sweetheart Lime, Sweet Potato Vine, and the Lemon Coral Sedum down below. Kind of just drawing that lime color throughout. The sun is going to come out. There's also a lot of red in here, the Radiculus coleus, and that's mirrored down below. There's Surefire Rose Begonias, Queen Tut grasses, and Carolee Petite Pink. Is this the Carolee Petite Pink Gara or the Pink Picotee Gara? Anyway, and Wire Vine. I mean, I just loaded this thing full. I mean, it's a huge reservoir, but I am loving the way this has turned out. Just loving it. And it's just kind of a fun thing because it was one of those deals where I didn't know exactly what I wanted in here, and I thought I wanted a fountain, and that might be the way we go. But I thought, well, we've got this fountain base already. We don't have to buy anything. We just put it here and just try it out, see if we like the scale. And I do like the scale. I think it's very nice. Now you'll notice a hose. We usually try to roll those kinds of things up for tours, but I have that running into the chicken coop with a mister system because it's been so hot. Paul tacked up shade cloth in there. We have a misting system going on, and we've got a big fan running, and I give them frozen treats every single afternoon and evening. So they're pretty happy. The first day they were looking pretty stressed, and so we got them all outfitted with all the things to make them comfortable. Boy, I don't even know which way to go from here. Maybe just through this area. Recently came through and pruned up these Julia Child tree roses, and they look really good. They didn't seem to mind it was kind of a massive prune, really, right in the middle of the season, but you could hardly see the Gara beneath them because they had gotten so bushy. Also am loving this right here, this combination. So we've got the green velvet boxwoods around the outside, and then inside I did every other plant is a plain the blue salvia and then a stratosphere white Gara, plain the blue stratosphere, and just kind of did a checkerboard with those 2 annuals, and they're like contained at this point still, like they haven't started to flop over or get too big, but they're filling it in just so beautifully. Around the front, so this is actually a project that's coming up here pretty quick. You'll notice a lot of dry patches and grass because we're not even really irrigating it anymore. We are going to be doing a new sprinkler system. Hopefully in the next week or 2, we'll have that all lined out and we can start planting grass as soon as this intense heat is over. But this whole area will see a pretty decent sized change, and I'm looking forward to that. Also, I did pull all the artichokes. We came out and did that the other day, and it just kind of unburdened this area a little bit. They were so massive and just spilling out, and I loved it. But they were starting to get tired and brown, and there was some leaf minor damage, and the blooms, there weren't very many blooms left. They were brown as well. So now I'm also waiting until the heat is over to do direct seeding of probably a smaller size zinnia. Aaron, I opened both doors this morning. Notice that?
I love it.
You can see right through to the other side.
Yeah, the cats love it.
Yeah,
They're just kind of following us around.
Oh my goodness, it's hot out here right now. right now. I don't even know how hot it is, but it feels more humid today than most days. Lantana has been, it's hanging in there, but it's a hot, hot spot right here. This is the south side of the Hartley. We're going this direction. We did a repeat of the annuals right here. So you can see how beautiful those look. That will be a hard one to beat, I think. I think that's absolutely just beautiful. And then we've got the containers back here. Everything's hanging in there. I mean, if we just get things to survive the heat this summer, I will be thrilled. Do you hear the cats? That sounds like it's inside. It is inside. Hey, look at these two.
Standoff.
It is a standoff.
I think Douglas is a little more dominant.
I don't know. Russell picks fights too.
Yeah.
And sometimes they get along fine. Like they always are around each other. But then they have these little moments. The urns are doing pretty decent. The Super Bells, I don't know that they love the amount of water that these urns are getting. Super Bells are one of those for me. It's like hit or miss. But I do love the color combination, as well as the color combination right here in the parterre garden with the Super Tunia Bordeaux and the Bullseye Salmon geraniums. We have not deadheaded these at all. I'm trying to see what angle it looks the best at right now. Probably this angle, Erin. Or maybe, I don't know.
Look behind you.
Oh, yeah, don't look that way. Nope. Look this way. This is nice. You can't see the boxwoods that I wasn't able to plant. You can see pretty plants, a little bit more of a put together space. Boy, I feel like we could go so much faster if we weren't waiting on everybody else. That's where we're at. We are just waiting for people to come and do their step, because then the next person can come and do their step, and we just kind of have to like just wait on everybody's schedule. And with this heat, I kind of don't blame a lot of people for wanting to be out in it and subject, I guess, their crews to that sort of heat too. Everybody kind of lines up during times like this. This area right here that we planted with annuals, I'm completely underwhelmed by the alyssum this year. Some years it's awesome. They are starting to stool out a bit, and I'm noticing a bunch of buds, so maybe they just lulled. But it took them a long time, and they kind of add a dry note. When they're not in bloom, they kind of look like a dry plant. Everything else is doing great in here though. Plain the Blue Salvia, Lime-Time Coleus, the Marshmallow Bidens, and the Superbena Sparkling Amethyst is a really pretty blend. And if I was going to do it again, and the reason why I didn't do all Superbena is because I didn't have enough, but I would have done all Superbena and got rid of the alyssum in this arrangement. It's kind of like when we used the Super Tunia Bubblegum. We used it for so many years that we decided the last year or two not to use it so we could try other things out. Now that we have it back out in the South Garden, I'm like, this is the only one we need to use. It's so awesome. Such an awesome plant. Okay, so the Gara up here, I planted, I thought it was all Carolee pink, the Carolee Petite Pink Gara, but I think it's a mix of Carolee Petite Pink, which is this one that's more thick, and the Pink Picotee. It's just kind of weird. They were all in the same flats, but it does look kind of pretty.
The Picotee looks way better, I think.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering, like, maybe is there something wrong with this Gara? Or is that actually its growth habit? Because I have Carolee Petite Pink, like, in the container along the driveway, and it's way more bushy. So it's more like this right here. I don't know. Okay, let's run in here. Now, I haven't looked at the pond since day before yesterday. I think it's been a minute. Looking pretty good. Russian sage is looking beautiful. This is its time to shine for sure. And then the plumbago is also starting to bloom, looking really nice. Oh, look at this. Like, it's been the year of weeds coming up right in the middle of plants. Well, I broke it off. At least you can't see it now. Everything over here is looking pretty good. The lilies have spread. I need to get in there and groom them. Today might be a good day for that. And I can see the butterfly koi. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. It's sort of beneath the waterfall area over there. The little babies. I come out here and do roll call with the fish. Make sure everybody's still accounted for. I wonder how murky it looks like underneath.
Yeah, I don't know if that looks cool or not.
Overall, though, do you need to dry that off at this point? Here, you can use my pants.
Here, I'll use my shirt.
Okay. Overall, super happy with this pond area. I mean, you can see the individual rocks now. That green fuzz seems to be reducing even more. So I don't know. I mean, there definitely is still some algae, especially in the wetlands area, but this space has really improved. And I'm just noticing, look at the blue pickerel. Look. In bloom. Oops, sorry. I made it move. And then this one as well. Is this the hardy canna? That's so pretty. Yeah, I need to get in there and do some grooming. Okay, moving on this direction. Oh, so this is the baby Joe pie weed right here. Now this is just on drip. It's not like in the pond, but it can take a ton of moisture. If you have wet areas that are in a sunny spot in your garden, this is a great perennial to use, and they just get these big kind of light pink blooms all over them, and I'm just thrilled to see them thriving like they are. It's so nice. We've added a few things in here, like the Arctic Fire yellow dogwood over there, and the Miss Violet buddleia, as well as all of this chamomile right here that we started from seed, and there are some blooms on it. I think this is going to be so pretty when it fills in, and eventually we'll have this whole whole space filled in. Heat's getting to me. Okay, so let's check out the container competition. Again, you're gonna have to ignore the background. I feel like that's a lot of our garden at the moment. Things are going decent based on what we just went through with these, which was a huge bout of aphids. And I'm not sure if we maybe missed a week spraying, but the Captain Jack's Dead Bug Brew and BT is what we have been using on a weekly basis, except for maybe one time, which the aphids just boomed. We were driving out here the other night and we were like, what is going on? Are those dry? Do they need extra water? And they were plenty moist. They just were covered in aphids. So they do look like they are recovering from that. You won't notice it on containers like this as much because Super Beta are kind of impervious. Nothing seems to bother those. This is the Sparkling Rose and Sparkling Amethyst with Queen Tut. This one has really come into its own, I feel like. And you know, these have also been through 108, 109 degree heat. So looking pretty fresh based on that. The next one, this is one of the ones that looked so crummy. This is the Super Tunia Black Cherry, Persimmon, and Saffron Finch. Aaron, I think from this side it might look a little bit better. But yeah, you could lift the canopy up in here and you could just, like it was like almost wet looking with aphids. It was so gross. And a purple fountain grass. It seemed like they didn't have near as many blooms and they were smaller there for a minute, but they are looking so much better.
It seems to be a really common thread that the blooms will get very small when, when the plant is suffering.
When they're stressed.
Yeah, when they're stressed, they should have much larger blooms.
This one does not look stressed. This one had aphids too. This is a Super Tunia Vista Bubblegum. One. This is Aaron's container. One plant. Can you believe that? Like if you are on a budget or you want to make a huge splash in a huge area but don't want to have to plant a million things, this is the plant to put in the ground. So awesome. Next one, looking pretty good. This is the Play in the Blue Salvia with the Dusty Miller, Sparkling Amethyst, Super Bina, and Super Tunia Mini Vista Marine, I think. I might not remember that right, but definitely full and looking good. And the Super Tunias are looking so much better now. I'm so thankful for that. Now this one, Aaron, your sweet Caroline Sweetheart Lime is looking pretty in charge in this container.
It is kind of large and in charge, isn't it?
It is. There are 3 of those along with some Saffron Finch and Super Tunia Bordeaux.
I should come out here and maybe trim off a little bit
like
of this right here and just where it's kind of mounding up.
Yeah, just to relieve the canopy a little bit. Let the other ones have a chance. This one's like, this one's huge over here. It still looks really pretty and fresh.
It looks very, what's the word? Cool.
Yeah, it does.
The green gives it a very cool vibe.
It does. It brings down the temperature. So now here we have the Gara with the Super Tunia Vista Bubblegum. And this one I used 3 Vista Bubblegums, which you can see is like not necessary. You don't have to. This one's definitely fuller. But I used 3 of the Gara in here, and boy, they're having I mean, they're still showing, but they're having a hard time. They're like, ugh, trying to make it through the canopy of the Super Tunias.
Would you try to cut any of the Super Tunias out?
Nah.
To alleviate that, or just let it go?
Let it go. I'm not about, like, I hardly ever do a mid-season trim. I see people doing that all the time, but we got too many things going on. Unless it really needs it, like, you know, if it reaches the ground and starts to trail out, I'll come out and trim them. But I want to plant stuff that I don't have to mess with that. Super Bells, double twilight and the double white, which, ooh, these still are alive with aphids. I don't know if you guys can see it, like right in here. Yep, there's one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they look it too. You can just like, ooh. Okay, so this one needs to be, ooh, yeah. Let's see this, come here. Look at that.
Nasty.
Totally nasty. Need to get those sprayed ASAP, but we are also dealing with spider mites really bad, to where, you know, we release the beneficials, but they can only do so much, and we're keeping the spray out of the cut flower garden space, but I think we might start spraying some boxwoods and stuff like that, because we can't let our plants deteriorate to a point where they start really suffering while we're waiting for the beneficials to, you know, get after it. So we're trying to figure out a balance with that. But the salvia looks awesome. Always looks awesome. I think this container might look best from this side. Okay. We got to show their good sides here. This is the Niagara Falls Panicum with the Hoopla Vivid Orchid Supertunia right there. This one and my first one where I did all the different colors of Supertunia. Those two were the worst. Those are the two that we were like, ooh, what's going on with those? So this one has really, it's coming back. The blooms are coming back. I can see buds all over. The grass is unfazed. It looks awesome. This one of Aaron's, it's looking good. Lemon coral sedum, and the lemon coral is like starting to climb into the Gara. Look at this right here. Are you going to trim any of that out, Aaron?
No, I think I'll leave it.
Yeah, that's what I think you should do too. And the last one that we looked at last time, it looked so bad when we showed it to you. Remember, we put bait in here because the coleus was so riddled with holes. And it's looking so much better. We've got some Surefire Rose Begonias in there. Persian Shield's looking a lot better than it did before. Wire Vine, and only one little hole in that coleus. Probably time to come back out here and give it another little dose of spray. Let's head this way. Now, I did not put this in a video because it was late in the evening, and I just loaded up the gator full of color that we had in the high tunnel and popped it in here. I think it's starting to look really pretty. Purple fountain grass kind of sprinkled throughout. There's Superbena Cobalt, Supertunia Honey, and then there's the James Britannia Safari Dawn, which is performing a little bit better now. Last year it was just a stunner. This year it's like, we'll see. It just could be weather related. Our containers, was it this one that got plugged, Aaron?
Yeah.
So that one was sitting in a pond of water. That's one thing about drip. Like, you really can't trust it. You got to keep your eyes on it. So as long as you're keeping your eyes on it, and Aaron caught it before the plant started to suffer, then you can rectify that situation. But plain the blue salvia, there's some alyssum in here. This one's looking a little bit better than the other ones that we had in the ground. We've got Priscilla Supertunias, which I remember now why I don't use these. I use these in so many containers this year, and while you do not have to deadhead them in order for them to keep blooming, they look, since they're such big fluffy blooms, they definitely look like they need to be deadheaded, and I don't really love that. The other Supertunias kind of cover their spent blooms, and they're a lot smaller because they're not double. So I've never noticed that problem, and I kind of forget. You know, I do it one year, and then I think, ooh, I'm not going to use that one as much. So I go 4 years, and then I think, oh, that Supertunia is so beautiful. Why don't I plant that more often? Well, now I remember why. Superbena rather, Violet Ice, look at this right here, along with the Marine Mini Vista. It's so pretty. Oh, I love that. But I actually love this color combination together. I think it's really pretty. I've got a Lantana in here as well. It's got a little bit more pink. Aaron, you should come over here and look at this. This looks like really nice this way. It's like all the blooms are facing this way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, isn't that nuts? Anyway, you can kind of see a little bit better the color combo I was going for right there. We've got Russian sage. This was actually here when we moved in, the Russian sage, and the, I can't remember what it's called. false sunflower, gets super tall. And then our fence was right here. And then there was driveway right here where you just saw all those annuals planted. So this kind of like popped through the fence, and you could see it, you know, yeah, when you were driving down the driveway. This area in here, we've got coleus and impatiens. The oak leaf hydrangeas are phenomenal this year. I will show you some other ones that are much bigger here in a minute. Are these the Gatsby Pink or Gatsby Gal?
I'm not sure.
One of the two. I love them. I love them so much. The 2025 recipe with the begonias in the center. Begonias cannot handle the water that we need to give sweet potato vine. And I actually have more of the begonias, but I know if I put them in here, they will rot. So I think we're just gonna let this be a foliage. Foliage. I said foliage. It's gonna be a foliage container. These are really pretty, and I can't remember the variety name. I don't think that these were a Proven Winners one, but planted these last year, and they're an oak leaf, so pretty. This whole space is just, I love the heucherella right here, the ferns, the hostas. It's just a really pleasing area, and it's in the shade, which is also very helpful. Miss America hostas are awesome. Planted those last year. And I love this spot because you can see we've got sedum right next door to a hosta, which we don't get to do that very often. But every once in a while, you know, you have that sharp shade line from a tree, and you can do all shade stuff, and then you have to swap over to a lot of sun things, and Russian sage and yarrow in here. And I love that juxtaposition of like this right here. A very formal hedge with something very abundant peeking out over it. I think that's just so pretty. And this area, oh, the oak leaf hydrangeas. Look at those. I don't know why people don't plant more oak leaves, because you get such an interesting texture with the huge leaves. You also get amazing fall color from them. You get the beautiful blooms that are a little bit more airy and a little bit more, they look a little bit more delicate than like lime light hydrangeas are awesome, but they're like really thick panicles. And these just have a little bit more of a, I don't know, a delicate appearance. I can't think of another word for that. Look at the opalescence. I think that's what it's called, phlox.
That's a great height for
Isn't
these,
that
behind
awesome?
these boxwoods.
Yeah, we've got, these are not spider mite webs. These are just regular spider webs. Jeez, thought I got all those the other day. They move so fast. And then this is the ultraviolet. I think we need to come out here and prune. See, I'm telling you, we have so many garden projects we need to get to, but it's so dang hot that things are just gonna have to wait. But I am so thrilled with both of these varieties of phlox. And I remember we came in with just a few of them, and they did so well. And I loved the height so much that we came in with more. So
now, are these buds right here?
Yes.
So they will get more full like these?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Isn't
we're just
that,
a little early maybe on bloom
yeah,
time?
but isn't it nice to have something when it's so hot and your first flush of perennials is done and looking kind of crummy? It's so nice to have some that will fill in that gap during those dog days of summer, like your Russian sage and your echinaceas and phlox. It's awesome. Okay, I was going to show you the Surefire white begonias. And we just upped the amount of water that these are getting. They were only getting water every other day, and these get overhead water. So I think that they will start to do a little bit better. But all of our Surefire begonias this year seem to be a little bit more stunted in their growth. I mean, blooming and looking fine and not burned and all of that, just sitting there. So we'll see what happens with the increase of water. Sprinter boxwoods, Russian sage looking amazing, as they do every year. The Plain the Blue Salvia, there's Saffron Finch, Superbena Cobalt, and Superbena Sparkling Amethyst in these containers. This is a whole flower bed we need to cut back. In fact, I almost did it last night. And then I ran out of steam. I try to go out and fill up the gator like once a day. Doesn't matter what the temperature is. I already went out this morning and I cut back some things and deadheaded some roses and just filled up the gator. And as long as I get that done, I feel like we'll get after it at some point, but Columbine is done and needs to be shorn back for sure. I'm very excited for this grass project. That's going to make everything look so much more cool and lush out here. But the hostas have really been holding their own this year. There's not near the amount of burn, which is like so crazy to me. And then this arrangement of annuals has turned out really nice. I was second guessing myself there for a minute. But we've got the Quicksilver geraniums, which I do not deadhead. I haven't been deadheading any of the annual geraniums that we've planted out, like the ones in the parterre. Maybe I mentioned it back there. But these, anywhere I've got geraniums, we just leave them alone. And you don't really notice unless you get up right close to it and look really hard. But we've got the Sparkling Amethyst Superbena. The Blue Planet Ageratum that we started from seed is looking really good. It has spider mites. I can see it from here. Wicked Witch Coleus. Love that. I had to pull the Persian Shield out of this flower bed because it wasn't doing well. And we just kind of tucked that all the way back through this bed. And if you turn around, Aaron, and look up right there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. These are the Pink Mink Clematis. And we cut these all the way back down to the ground this spring. When they painted. So these trellises came down. These got well, we cut them down to about 18 inches, usually every late winter, early spring. And I had already done that. And then somebody came through and cut them all the way back down to the ground. I was like, ugh. But it needed to be done so they had access to the wall and all of that. But they really have liked it, apparently, because they are just absolutely beautiful. And I love that they don't 100% cover up the trellis back here, because I like to see little bits of that popping through. Can you see my sheen? I'm like totally dripping sweat right now. Incredible Hydrangea hedge is awesome. I was just noticing last night how if you look at this, especially from this side, you can see all these brand new blooms. Look at that. In July. I mean, maybe they do that every year, but maybe I notice it more because it's so dang hot right now that anything that's like doing well and looking fresh is just like
a lot of our stuff is looking really, really good this year. I mean, we've got, our issues like everybody, but but there's a lot of stuff that looks really good.
There really is. I'm super pleased with this hedge. It was incredibly full and like thick, and then we had that gully washer rainstorm that came through. Was it 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, and it completely, you can see all of these heads were just too heavy. It couldn't hold them up anymore. So anyway, it kind of made it look a little bit more sparse, but overall, so happy with that. Let's just touch, I guess, on this little area here before we head down the west side walkway. You can see the beautiful, where we started, beautiful planter right there. Isn't that just so pretty? It just grabs your attention. Makes me want to go over there and look at it. Right in here, we have the Royal Velvet Supertunias. We've got geraniums, which this is the only spot where I feel like, well, maybe I should go in there and deadhead, just because this is where we park and we walk by this all the time. But we've got the Angelonia in here. That's the super blue. It's really starting to fill in. This was a late season. I feel like a lot of my big annual beds were late planted. Some years are like that. Okay, do you want me to get ahead of you so you're not having to go backwards? Okay. In this bed here, we've got some really pretty things. I tried putting begonias in here, and they did not like the drip system, so a lot of them have perished. There's a couple that have hung on, and they probably just were far enough away from drip that they were okay with it. But we popped some Albrido coleus in here, which you actually can't see from this side as good as you can see from out in the driveway. It faces the light, so you can see the detail a little bit better. But you know what I decided? In this space right here, and in the space under the golden rain tree, which we will, well, let's go over there. We can come back this way. I am going to go in with like lamium, and I'm just going to deck it out with a perennial ground cover and not rely on annuals. Something that can handle sun and shade. And while this is really pretty, it's kind of a bear. It's kind of a bear in terms of light and water, and I just want to get something in here that's pretty and creates a carpet. We've got a bunch of different varieties of coleus in here and geraniums. I think
they just kind of discolor. I think they're just too much.
Just toward the edge, toward the backside, they're great. That's why I think we just need to start focusing on some perennials in a couple of these areas that I don't really love to fill, especially the one under the maple.
I think one of the reasons that we haven't done annuals here is that these rocks were probably going to come out.
Yeah.
And we were going to use stacked rock.
Yeah.
And you were going to redo the shape a little bit.
Yeah, which we will still do. So maybe we'll do that and then focus on some perennial stuff in here. Honestly, I think right behind would be pretty to do like a big bank of ferns, and it stays pretty shaded right back behind that trunk, toward the back side of that. It'd be pretty to have something tall and then come in with just like a huge mass of lamium that stays pretty all the time in the front side. There's not a whole lot going on in the raised bed garden because I recently changed everything over to drip. There's some zinnias blooming. This container, you can see the big pile of dirt. I just had it tipped over the other day and I flopped the drip out because it's completely plugged and we didn't realize it. And so the plants look really crummy. This one looks good. We've got the James Britannia in there. That's the Safari Dawn. And then a Priscilla and the Apple Blossom, I think, geranium in there. Okay, but there are, like I've got some celery and some squash going in there. Limelight hydrangea tree, looking like it's about ready to go for it. This one always does really well right here. I love it. And then down this area, our daisies are just starting to flush out. They were just so pretty like a few days ago. This is the Daisy May variety, and I just love how thick they get with blooms. Now we have the Ambridge Rose, David Austin right there. This space right here, I keep thinking I need to plant some things in there, but then I know myself, and I know I'll probably let this elderberry go to the point where it got this year again, and you won't even be able to see the ground. So the iris come up in the spring and bloom really beautifully, and then it gets completely shrouded with elderberry for a little bit until I get in there, and then it kind of looks bare for a little. I don't know, it's one of those spots. Now this area needs a lot of attention. I need to come in and cut back Nepeta, cut back Lady's Mantle. Our second flush of salvia is pretty much done at this point already. Roses need to be pruned up and deadheaded. Container's looking pretty good though. We've got the Lime-Time Coleus with the Diamond Frost Euphorbia. And then again, see, this is the Priscilla. It's just not, I love the color, love the blooms, love the way it looks in a 4-inch container. Don't love the dead blooms during the season. Help me remember that, Aaron.
Okay.
All right, guys, I don't remember where I was at. We had to swap cameras because everything's overheating, including us. So we went inside for a minute. But you know what? There's still a lot of beautiful things to see, even in this time of year where things are just kind of like in a weird state. I mean, because there's things like the asters and weeds that are just getting ready to bloom. Look at that. They're gearing up. Ajuga looks awesome.
Look at this down here.
Yeah, that's from previous year right there. Bordeaux and Jazzberry. We also had a plain the blue salvia. I'll show you when we get to it. Come back from last year. It's like double the size of the ones we planted this year. I wish they would all do that. And there's also there's rose blooms here and there. And you know, Glow Girl Spirea, hardy geraniums almost always look awesome. And I feel like our iris foliage looks better at this point of the year than it has in years past too. I know that's like a trigger for Aaron. He doesn't love iris foliage for the most part, but it's looking still pretty fresh. And Miss Violet Buddleia had to cut that one all the way back, and now it's starting to bloom. So those are some of the things that come in when everything else is kind of flushing out. We've got the Luminary. This is the Backlight Phlox, looking a little sad by itself. There's 3 in there. I need to get some more in there. 3 is just not cutting it right.
Bulk it up.
Yeah, there's some opalescence right there. Again, Drops of Jupiter Oregano looks great in here, as does the Sugar Shack Button Bush. Look at this. These blooms are so neat, and this plant is way bigger than I thought it was gonna get. It's not a bad thing. It's really pretty, and it's really made a comeback from what it looked like this spring. And then right toward the very end, I was going to come do this last night, and I ended up running out of light. But our basketball roses, you see, like things need to be deadheaded. But that is just where it's at the moment. Daisy May daisies kind of flushing out back here as well. But we've got some beautiful, this is Lobelia that I bought down at the garden center this spring, and it's awesome. Can't remember the variety name, but it's just coming into bloom. Need more of that. Oh, there's not really a ton to see up there at the moment. This area has really filled in. And see, this is what I was talking about. That Play in the Blues right back there was a comeback from last season. And look at how much bigger it is than the ones I planted this season. Isn't that nuts? I think maybe if you come this way because the sun is coming out a little bit harder. Oh yeah. If you look this way, Erin, it looks so pretty. It took the Gara a while to root in and be happy in this space. We had to supplement water that quite a lot. But oh, there's a little overcast, but isn't that pretty? I really like how that looks together, all of those. This is a Sparkling Rose Superbena, Sweet Caroline, Sweetheart Lime needs to be, we need to put some bait around it. It's getting eaten alive. Gara, Plain the Blue Salvia, and then the Purple Fountain Grass. Okay, the sun has come back out and we're gonna probably go through the South Garden fairly quickly because our cameras are overheating and such. So anyway, there are some really pretty things out this time of year. The Firelight Tidbits are just starting to bloom along with the Russian Sage. This is Denim and Lace. And then of course, all of the Echinacea are kind of in their prime right now. And this is just kind of a mix of different varieties in here. I'm not really sure how that all happened, but I think it's so pretty. We've got this is the Siloam Peony, Double Peony Display, something like that. Daylily, I think I just had one that I popped in there. Cat's Meow Nepeta, I have not cut this back, and you can kind of see the new growth popping through the old growth here. And this happened last year, like we kind of missed our window, and I felt like it would be too hard to go in there and cut out the old stuff, and the honeybees still just are like swarm this plant. They love it so much that we usually just end up leaving it alone. Right in this area here, I had a bunch of yarrow, and this is a Firefly Peach Sky, and I lost a couple of them, and I don't know if I've got something going on with the drip because this whole area is like kind of a little bit of a pocket, so I got to figure that out. But the Arctic Fire Dogwoods, oh my word, they have created a hedge right there, like a fairly intense one. And we've got some Veronica in here looking great, sedum. These are some new geraniums we just planted, so they're a little bit like, I came out and watered them extra last night. And we've done zero mulching out here too. Well, a little bit of mulching on that side, but zero on this side yet this season. We just have not had time to do it. And that always makes everything look so fresh and lush to have that happen. Down this walkway, we have a few little things back in there. You can see, you know, some color popping through, and I love the Sublime Hydrangeas with the carpet of Veronica. I can see it just watered. The drip system must have just gone off out here. I need to come cut back these. These are the Silver Lining Artemisia. They're looking like a little tired, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And we've got some Veronica right here to cut back, and you know, this whole area is it is starting to fill in, which makes me so happy. The birch on the other side, that was probably one of the better switches we have made. We dug out a Spring Grove arborvitae that was here, which got completely lost with the backdrop of berries back here, and to have the white bark, it just shows up so well. I think we should start at the front of this. I kind of like want to show everything at its best angle right now. Let's start at the front here. Okay, so we're on the other side of the walkway. We just went down this whole side. Now we start at the beginning on this side. We've got the Russian Sage with the Firelight Tidbits so that the openings sort of mirrored each other. And then we've got the Heliopsis. This is Tuscan Sun. And this is just going out of first bloom. We'll deadhead it, and then it'll push another big, glorious crop of blooms. And it's just such a bright, happy flower. We've got some grasses in here, some Echinacea, which these look like we could about deadhead at this point. I never feel that way about pink varieties or yellow or anything, but white varieties always feel like I want to get in and deadhead them a little bit. We've got some out of control Arctic Fire Yellow Dogwoods. They've gotten so incredibly big. I'm going to have to do some major pruning on them. I mean, you can see how far this one has grown over the walkway. And then this is a Blue Chip Junior, I think, Buddleia right here, which it looks like, and this could have been from the wind. Yeah, there we go. Like one of them isn't attached. Come get that later. And then in this space, we did a little dig out. Like we had Serendipity alliums all the way up to the edge, but you can see how tall they are. And when you have something this tall right up to the edge, it just doesn't look like it has enough of a graduated look. So I'm happy to have the front ones removed, and they're doing great. We'll see them here in a minute. And then we just popped a bunch of annuals in this space. We've also got some Echinacea. I can't remember if this is a Firelight or a Pinky Winky Hydrangea in here. Amsonia, a bunch of the new annuals, some sedum in here. Can't remember all the names at this point. There's such new plants. And then let's circle around this walkway. Haven't planted really nothing in here yet this year. Planted a few of the The new 2025 annuals, that's a Stardiva White Scaevola. It's looking great. The Dayglow Yellow Dahlia, it looks like one of the pink ones. I think it's Pinkerific. That's a new one too. Must have got mixed in with the yellow flat. Got some new hardy geraniums in here. And then I planted this spot right here, which I can't wait for mulch. It's gonna make it look so pretty. But the Stardiva Blue Scaevola with the Supertunia Vista Snowdrift. Give this a minute and it's gonna be awesome. Through here, I need to do some work. I need to cut back some perennials in this space, but we're gonna get into some color right over here. Look at this area. Now you'll notice a hose out because I was too lazy to roll it up last night. I thought I'm rolling this hose out right now. I'm gonna have to roll it right back out tomorrow morning and water. So I'm just gonna let it sit right here. That's what it's doing. But we've got a whole bunch of beautiful annuals in this space. Before we move too far, I have to point out the Catalpa, which this one is just starting to go out of bloom at the moment. Still got some really pretty blooms on it. The perfume of this plant is just, there's nothing like it. I thought they died completely back, and I think I've talked about it several times, but we didn't get around to the whole pulling them out project until they actually started to push new growth. And so I've kind of learned that maybe they are a really late one to break dormancy, and hopefully they die back every year so they don't get to their full size. I thought when I planted them, and somebody actually commented, one of you guys commented when I mentioned this and said that the Proven Winners did have them listed at a smaller size when I planted them out. So I thought they got like 4 to 6 feet tall and wide, but they actually get 10 to 15 feet tall and like 8 feet wide. That's what the new dimensions say. So I'm kind of hoping that they do die back every year, and that way, oh, the drip just turned on. I kind of feel like it's a snake sound because I ran into 2 gopher snakes this morning when I was out watering. They were babies, but they were trying to strike at me. I was kind of nervous that they were rattlesnakes. I did a whole bunch of Googling on snake identification because I thought I can't let the kids out here anymore if we have rattlesnake babies, but they weren't. Anyway, I don't know what I was talking about except for the fact that these are an awesome plant. Definitely try them if they're in your zone. We're just waiting for these to kind of come into their own because these were probably the last annuals I planted out. The ridiculous coleus, poor things, I just subjected them to the heat and full sun right away. So they're kind of like bleaching out. They're not wilting, but they have bleached out, and I think that they will recover and start filling in this space. It's going to be so, so pretty. And then this whole area is looking nice. I actually did get out early this morning. I've got some Anacisip that I started from seed. All of these. They were so easy to start from seed, and they smell so good, and they bloom beautifully. They were so tall, and they were kind of starting, because I didn't pinch them or cut them back when they were babies, so they were very lanky. So I came through and cleaned those up this morning, as well as some of the roses out here. So it is looking a little bit better in this space. That makes me happy. And then through here you can see some of the Supertunia Mini Vista Marine and Quickfire Hydrangea starting to put on some big color. I love the texture. I know that you're, Erin, kind of iffy about the iris, but I feel like it's such a beautiful, strong texture. It has kind of a glow to it, which I love. There's one of the containers. It's really filled in.
That looks great.
Doesn't it look awesome?
I love this one. So, which one was this called?
This was mine.
Oh.
This is Laura's creation.
Yeah, you did great on this one.
Well, the thing is, so this is Wedgwood Pink Angelonia, and then there's 2 different kinds of Kufia. There's Frosted Violets, and then I can't remember this one. I only had 2 of this color. I wanted 3. So we've got 2 Kufia that are this deeper color, which I was hoping I had for right here as well. But that's pretty too. The dahlias, I need to deadhead those.
And this is Tiara Pink?
Tiara Pink and Tiara Blue.
I like this a lot. That white in the center.
Glow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
It really is pretty. And this one's just so full. I really like that. Okay, we are going to swing around the back side of this flower bed because there are a lot of things back here as well. We are about ready to cut back our hollyhocks, but they're the double yellow. I had some leftover Tiara Pink that I just popped in the ground right here just to see how they would do. So far, so good. This whole area, I need to cut back salvia. Russian sage starting to bloom right here. We have some limelight primes. We need to get some chelated iron on these, Erin. I had soapwort along this whole edge, and then I think it never got drip run to it last year, and they just slowly started to fizzle out, so I need to do that again. But the lavender crush, right? Hibiscus. they're just going to start their show.
Is that more of an August thing?
July through August.
Late July?
Probably. I like when you look through here and you can see, you know, blue popping out in different layers. It takes kind of a long time to get your garden to that point. And I'm starting to see it in just certain little pockets, you know, seeing all of the different layers. Ruby Chip Junior, or Ruby Chip, let's see, this is a soapwort. I doubt it has drip run to it. Dead. Okay. Persimmon Supertunias and a Montana Moss Juniper. These are phenomenal evergreens right here. It's supposed to just be 5 feet by 2 feet. I believe the 2 feet, but the 5 feet. Junipers just really thrive in our area. And I think the texture is beautiful. I think the color is beautiful.
It's a great ground cover.
It really is.
Because it probably doesn't need a whole lot of water.
No. Mr. Mustard Spirea, along with the Black Lace Elderberry. This is Orange Time, I think. Back in here, isn't that awesome?
Why is it called Orange Time?
It's a time called orange.
Oh.
Variety of time called orange.
I feel like it should just be called white.
Well, maybe you need to write the company, Aaron.
Yeah, maybe I will.
Cottontail Yarrow, right here. We've got some Monarda that we need to cut back. This right here, when we planted them, I tucked them back here because I thought I wasn't going to like them. These are the King of Ages Daylily. And I thought that they were going to be much more red, like much more warm, but they're so peachy and they have kind of a burgundy interior. And look at the ruffles on the edge. The ruffles are awesome and they're fragrant and they're stately. Like this plant is a stately looking plant. There's a big swallowtail. Did you see that? That one's huge. Anyway, I think these are just a beautiful plant. We've got more persimmon. We've got some Durvellas. I think we need to relocate, Aaron.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back up through here, you can see the grapes. Now, I am going to be training those, and I have been looking at them. I'm not ignoring them. But you've got to kind of wait till the new growth is hardened a little bit in order to manipulate them, because if you do it now and it's soft green growth, they just pop right off the original branch. I know because I tried it and I did pop off a couple branches that I really would have liked to save. So I'm just holding off, but there's a lot of grapes in there. Blackberries, my goodness, look at this. Those aren't quite ready yet, but they are absolutely loaded. Just loaded. Oh, it makes me so happy to see that. We've got, I think, 4 different varieties out here and they're all thornless. So they're easy to work around. I can see some of the first canes that we left. The June bearing canes are done and kind of dried up. So you could go in at this point and cut those out. But let's go this way. These containers are really awesome. You can see which way the wind blows. We've got the Stratosphere White Gara as a centerpiece, and then the Bidens, the Marshmallow Bidens, which is, they're popping through somewhat more in different spots than others. But then we've got the Cobalt Superbena, Supertunia Bordeaux, and then what else? What else did I put in here? Did I put anything else in here? Alyssum, maybe? I thought I put Alyssum in here. Yeah, well, probably not worth it putting that one in here. Alyssum's just been kind of a little bit of a dud this year for me. Everything else looks awesome. Our annual section of the cut flower garden's looking really pretty. Our feverfew is blooming. Snapdragons, Lisianthus is starting in. You can see all the sunflowers, cosmos, and zinnias. I've got one empty row where the ranunculus just came out, so I'll plant something in there. But yeah, I'm really happy with how everything's looking in here. Rose garden, we just deadheaded that, and I feel like we need to go through and do it again. See if we've got any ripe tomatoes. Boxwoods are looking great. Also, now I didn't notice this happening last year, Aaron.
Yeah, you know, I didn't either. I remember when Benny put the sprinkler system in, we told him specifically that you were going to put something in the center.
Which I will.
And so he adjusted the sprinklers. He said, okay, they're all going to shoot toward the middle, but we're not going to put one in the middle because Laura's going to do something in the middle.
Yeah.
And they said, so we're going to make it to where, you know, there's going to be a spot in the middle that doesn't get water.
Didn't they bury something too to the center, like some kind of water access?
I don't think so.
Something like, okay.
No.
Well, this might spur on the project a little faster.
Maybe we should just dig out a circle in the middle.
Just try it.
And just mulch it.
Uh-huh.
You know, even just for the meantime. That way the dead goes away.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was apparently getting water because we seeded in here.
Right.
So, maybe the sprinklers just aren't shooting as far as they were. I don't know.
I just don't remember doing this last year.
Yeah.
Oh, the perennial / vegetable / annual section of the garden looks awesome. The onions are just getting huge. The echinacea look beautiful. Irrigation just behind it look beautiful. The corn is massive. Strawberries have been bearing like crazy. Rudbeckia looks awesome. The potatoes are huge. Sunflowers are huge. It's just amazing. Now, I pruned the tomatoes one time and I thought, you know what? The fact that I only have 6 tomato plants, I will probably be able to keep up on the pruning this year. Oh, crack myself up sometimes. Okay, hang on. Sun sugars. I've already actually picked a few of these already. These aren't the first ones. I was kind of hoping that there would be a big one ready. But I think they're all green so far. They've really set a lot of fruit though. You can't tell because you can't see inside the canopy, but look at those. Split. I'm gonna eat this one. So good. So if we walk down this aisle right here, you can see that the bunny didn't get all of my beans. Most of them, but not all. Seeded twice, and now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I got 14 bean plants in there out of I don't know how many I actually planted. But the kids and I actually chased the bunny out of here. And the second crop that we planted, it had a chance to actually come up about this far. I was so excited. And then they were all shorn off on the top. They'd all been eaten down. So I'm thankful that there's even just a few in there. The corn, though, huge. Look at the Rudbeckia. Look at the Irrigation. Look at the pollinators. And that is why we're keeping spray out of this garden and why we have been moving toward biologicals, because it's intense the amount of activity we get out here. And that means a lot. And we've got tons of bumblebees and tons of butterflies. So we don't want anything to happen to them. Some of our peppers look a little stressed, but some of them are really going for it. Yeah. We still have pansies in these containers right here because I forgot about those. So anyway, we'll just see what these pansies are made out of. See if they can make it through all of this heat. In the first 2 rows, we've got rhubarb I need to groom. And we've got status and straw flowers going for it. Celosia, gomphrena here. Oh, we've got the Morgana pink cushion flower. Oh, that's really pretty. Now in the picture, it looks a lot more like kind of dirty brown. This is like a very creamy yellow, I don't know, yellowy cream. That's really pretty. Dahlias are really small. Oh, but look, we have a flower. Look at that. First dahlia. Planted these super late. I thought that most of them were going to rot, but they aren't. Even in the spots where you don't see them coming up yet, there are plants growing. They just haven't made it up yet. So I think by the end of the season, we'll have a glorious patch of dahlias.
Looks like it's watering right now.
It is. This overcast is so nice. There's some really beautiful things over here. We've got the Supertunia. Oh, I can't remember. Do you remember what that one's called?
No.
Anyway, it's real pretty. It's a new one for next year. Pufferfish hydrangeas back in here. Veronica that's just now starting to flush out, but look at the pollinators still on it. I have just the hardest time cutting back some things because the pollinators still find a lot of value in these plants. Isn't that amazing? The white wands, I guarantee the white wands will see double the pollinators. I love this Supertunia with the lemon coral. There's some echinacea in here. Now, the Baptisia. So we really showed you a lot of the Baptisia this spring because they were so beautiful in bloom, but they really create a gorgeous looking shrub through the rest of the season. They're kind of a blue-green. They have really fun texture with their seed heads. Anyway, I just think that they're a really fun perennial to have, and one that does that every year. You cut it all the way back down to the ground. Hardy geraniums, more echinacea, some yarrow. This is one of the containers we put together with the 2025 annuals. Right in here, we've got a lot of opportunity to add some things in, but the Midnight Masquerade penstemon did beautifully. This is the Cottontail yarrow right here. This we are leaving open for a project that hopefully will get started here soon. The red bud looks amazing. Thoughts, Aaron? Thoughts? He's laughing at me right now. Why are you
not
laughing?
At you. I just, you know, that's a 4-year-old tree at this point.
So?
Well, I don't like it.
I think it looks good. The Niagara Falls panicum, our neighbor is mowing. I don't know if that's picking up in my audio, but that's what the noise is. I think it's a beautiful blue color along with this pink echinacea right here. There's a Centara double blue lilac that bloomed beautifully this spring. A recently planted birch right here. I'm not skipping this stuff. We're going to come back around to look at the outer ring here in a minute. But I think that this birch just caps this flower bed so beautifully.
I wonder, you know, the wind will probably right it.
We need to like stake it like this, like one of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Reminiscent coral roses needs to be deadheaded, but you can still see a little bit of color. We've got some asters in bloom. We've got double, I think this is the Chater's Brown hollyhock. They create such an amazing stand. I just think they're beautiful. This is where we had the sumacs and took those out. So we planted the beech here and it looks nice. Our red annual section's looking good. Boy, I think that those have gotten more orange.
Yeah.
And they actually make the red not look that red. This looks more pink, like more watermelon color.
Yeah. It's an interesting orange.
It really is. I'm really enjoying that Kufia. I think that is so pretty. It's a new one for next year. And I think it's got such a neat look. Russian sage, I love it even more right here. This is such a pure look to me with the lemon coral sedum, that Kufia, and then the quickfire tidbits, hydrangeas.
That's a really good looking bed.
It's just very clean. The other one looks like a lot, a little bit much. We've got some Stand By Me clematis still sort of in bloom. And there's kind of like just a mishmash over here at this point. I feel like I need to do some moving. Like I had more phlox than just one. And then something happened and I lost some. So I need to take that and move it and put something that's got more impact right in here. Penstemon, there's some boom chocolate geraniums we just cut back. And those were huge. There were huge shrubs in here. Biden's marshmallow, echinacea. There's some superbena pink cashmere in here with some of the pink. Are those the microchip pink buddleia? I think so. The Dobbs frosted juniper is looking good. We've got a Chitalpa right back in there. And then we've got some chamomile that I started from seed. Looking awesome. Look at that. Those were such itty bitty little plugs when I put them in. Just the weeds. And then we've got some yarrow in here. This is a new one for next year. We planted these out early. It's Firefly. Do you remember?
I don't know, but I like these and I'm excited for them to get bigger and kind of fill in the space.
I think what I'm going to do with these, they look really pretty. I don't know, I might leave them. I might embrace the brighter color thing and put more bright colors together. This is the lemon squeeze pennisetum right here, and the echinacea look really pretty next to them.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
This grass is good.
It's a very pretty one. Okay, let's do the outer ring real quick. So on this side of the grass pathway, I think this is Sound of My Heart. I might be wrong on that. It's a proven winner's daylily, but it's so gorgeous. That peach with the burgundy. And then we've got some salvia and sedums in here. And then a big space where we can do something awesome. And then these are about to be beautiful. This is the Caryopteris, the Beyond Midnight. So these will be just full of blue blooms here pretty soon. One of the new Weeping Alaskan cedars we put in this year. I love that texture. And then this little pocket is so pretty. So there's Cat's Pajamas Nepeta, which stays a little smaller than Cat's Meow. We've got the Heliopsis. This is Bit of Honey. And it's just so beautiful. At first I didn't know if I was gonna love it, but I just really do. It's especially nice. I like to look at it from this angle. Maybe you can show this, Erin, because you can see this is Baptisia right here. So pretty. And then there's some pretty gold echinacea, boogie woogie sedum, serendipity alliums. These are the ones that we dug up, split in half, and planted. They're looking awesome. And then that pretty pocket of yellow. It's good, I love it. Drops of Jupiter oregano. I think I made a note to self to move these last year because they're too tall to be at the edge of a border and I forgot. But if you get close to this, look at all the pollinators on this one. Oh, there's a bumble over there in the clematis. We've got some plants I need to cut back the rue. In fact, I cut back 2 of them that kind of had flopped over. That one here, and then that one over there. So the others just need to be cut back. They have fresh foliage underneath. I just haven't made it out here yet. And you can see across the flower bed to that pocket of annuals. That's pretty. We'll pop out there here when we're done. I've just planted the Chitalpa right here. We've got this huge space that we have ready to plant. There's some Agastaki in here. This might be Sound of My Heart, Daylily, I don't know. This one is a little bit more on the pink side. And just about a week ago, you should have seen, well, you can see all of the spent blooms, and there's tons of buds still. But they were just like in that first stage of bloom, so there was no dead blooms yet, and it was just so fresh and beautiful. This space has got a lot of fun stuff. Pincushion flowers we dug out from the cut flower garden. The kids and I did that one evening and moved them out here. We've got some Miss Ruby Buddleias in here. My goodness. And then we've got the silver willow. This is a larch we planted this year. Looking pretty good. Looking like a little weary from the sun. Sunurita roses, which there is new color coming out. We just haven't had a chance to come clean them up, but you can see this, what they look like when they're more in full bloom. Right there. Hardy geraniums, and then the glorious hedge of Super Teeny Vista Bubblegum. This is what made Erin and I think we got to do this more. We got to have more of this. This is 26 plants. Last year I planted, what, 80 Superbena in here? Wasn't that right? Like a tremendous amount, way more than I really actually needed to. But this plant, like one of these, let's see, this is the center of one, and it's this whole space right here. They just get so big and they're so full of color. It's just so beautiful. Limelight Prime hydrangeas right behind, and they're setting buds. They're getting ready. That'll be a really beautiful bank right behind them. We've got some of the, I think these are orange smoothie daylilies right here. It's a huge drift of them. And there's another stand of the hollyhocks. But if you stand right here, Erin, can you come over here? I just want to point out some really pretty texture things. So I'm going to walk in here. You can see the black lace elderberry, the Tickle Creek white bark birch, the Limelight Prime hydrangea. This is a Cheyenne Sky panicum right here. So pretty grassy, kind of puffy texture. We have a Miss Violet Buddleia that will come up and do bright pink. Then we have got a angel white lilac right here, so spring color. This is a De Ruyter's Serbian spruce that's got the blue-white bicolor, so pretty winter interest. Big summer color, repeat of the grass texture, Agastaki, and then this just wall of vertical spires. I just think it's so pretty. I just love this whole section right here. It's really come together beautifully. Okay, moving on. Now I think this is something coral. Phlox. It is a little too bright for my taste, to be quite honest with you, especially close to this orange. But it's a performing plant. You can tell. It's just the foliage looks good. There's no powdery mildew. There's no like suffering going on, and it's full of very vibrant blooms. So definitely recommend if that's in your color palette for sure. We've got some storm whiteout, not stormburst, whiteout Superbena right here. More of the alliums that we divided and moved. We're thinking about putting something, I did plant a ginkgo back here, but I think we're going to plant something that gets a little bit bigger right behind this area here. And then we had, let's see, I had skullcap, which is this right here, and a whole bunch of them didn't come back. We had a beautiful stand of them, and it was one of those perennials that I thought was this kind of magical unicorn of a plant. And then when they didn't all come back, I was bummed, because they're usually in color like this all season long. So I think it just stays too wet. It gets sprinkler overspray, and we have no drip running to the front of this, so it's just getting the water the grass does. So I got to figure out something different. Can you see that from this angle? This is a Thunderbird, no, not Thunderbird, Catch a Wave, Mangave.
It's so tall.
I know. It's about ready to bloom though. So it is on its way out. In my reading, I read that some mangaves can bloom and not die out, but we talked to the breeder of these and he said that it is monocarpic. So the mother plant, when it blooms like this, it will start to die. It does take them quite a long time, like it can take months. And if you see a bloom spike start, if you cut it out immediately, you'll get even more time out of that plant instead of it sending energy. We just thought it would be fun to see it bloom. I mean, we know it's on its way out anyway. That way I won't have to winter it over. Usually in the process of blooming like that, they will send out what they're called pups, or little baby plants that you can harvest from around it. I don't see any pups forming yet on this one, but it is quite majestic looking, honestly. It's impressive. Coral berries, we have these dotted all over the place, and I kind of forget about them because they're just a nice little green shrub. The honeybees are all over them right now. You can see if you get in close that they are blooming, and they're not known for their blooms because the blooms are quite insignificant, little tiny pink things, but they turn into the most beautiful pink berries. So nice. I am just sweating my head off. Are you sweating your head off?
Yeah.
Whew. Okay, we've got some betony in here. Miss Violet Buddleias. We're going to put a big blue spruce right back in here, I think. And then the anemones are coming back. We've got some back in black sedum right here. The Russian sage is looking gorgeous. And honestly, like if you look back in here, the willows, those are flame willows. We've got 3 of them in there, and they are just huge and gorgeous. And I planted a bunch of pink annuals in here. Pink Cashmere Superbena, Hoopla Vivid Orchid, and then the Supertunia Mini Vista White. And it's really pretty, especially when these were all in bloom. These are the Ringo Double Pink Roses. I need to come out and clean them up, and that will make it look better right here. But it's gonna be a fun look when the roses come back into bloom. And then we're about ready to cut back all those hollyhocks in the back there too. Planted those from seed last year. We'll do just a quick swing around the back side of this flower bed and then come out the front so you can see the annuals, and then I think we've pretty much hit it all. So first off, this area back behind our orchard fence, this is actually the very first tree we planted out here in this property when we bought it. This is a red point maple. It looks beautiful. Do you ever struggle with chlorosis on this one?
No, never.
It's just like the perfect corner. We should have flip-flopped where we put our garden. All of it should have been back here. These are quickfire hydrangeas, or quickfire fab. And so they will get larger than this, and I kind of want them to. They're just meant to fill in this corner, and they bloom like this every single year. We also don't deal with chlorosis on these at all. It's like this little magical corner. Aren't they beautiful? I think the kids are trying to sneak up on us right now. I'm gonna act like I don't see them. Okay, let's go toward the back side of the flower bed of the south garden and then swing around to the front to look at the annuals. So there are just a few things that we've tucked in together in video projects that I wanted to show you, little progress reports here. Starting with the iris that we transplanted, boy was it late spring-ish. They bloom black, they're black iris. We've found that out since replanting. I couldn't remember when we dug them up. We've also got the Stella sperma down here, the ice plant. I think this one's called Orchid Flash. It's a new one from Proven Winners for next year, and it's doing great back here. We've also got some Aronia. Ah! I did not even see you guys coming. Where'd you come from?
We were sneaking like all around the garden.
You snuck all around the garden?
And we came through there.
Jeez. You guys are so quiet and sneaky.
And we went through the trees.
Oh, nice. Well, you totally scared me. Anyway, there are some Aronias in here, which honestly I could use more of. They've got such a beautiful deep green and a glossy leaf, beautiful white blooms in the spring and great fall color. And then tucked back in here, I think I forgot to mention the Calycanthus, the Aphrodite right here. I need to prune some of this black lace away from it, but it's a phenomenal shrub. The blooms are very fragrant, and I love the big glossy leaves. Got some hollyhocks right in here, fun colors. And there's the ginkgo I was talking about earlier. Got that in this spring. We dug up a little stick of a coral berry and transplanted out here, and it's doing great. These are the sting arbovitas, which look like they could use more water. Yeah. Drops of Jupiter oregano we dug up and transplanted in a video this spring, as well as the grass and all of the geraniums right here. They all came from different areas of the garden. So that's all good, successful reports there. This area right here, I'm fairly certain I did I film this? I don't think I did. It was late in the evening one night. We've got some of the white Angelonia, Supertunia Snowdrift, the Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow, and Supertunia Vista Jazzberry in around that 2025 recipe that's called Ireland, I believe. It's a really beautiful blend of plants, I think. A little pocket of color. A couple more things on this side. We've got some Vista Bubblegums right in here. These were leftovers. We just decided to tuck in right here, and I love it. These are some iris we transplanted. These are Echinacea seedlings that we started this last winter. And I planted them out this spring, and we're gonna have some blooms. First year, I love it. And the last spot I wanna look at is right over here. A beautiful just river of color. This is a recipe, a combination to repeat, I think. So there's the Superbena Violet Ice along with the Saffron Finch Supertunia. Those two together, it's just so beautiful. I think they're opposites on the color wheel, aren't they? They look so beautiful contrasting each other. We've also got the Angelonia Super Blue just starting to bloom at this point. So once that gets, it can get upwards of like 30 inches tall and kind of bushes out a bit. I think that's going to be a beautiful backdrop. There's also some Diamond Frost Euphorbia, which I wish was a little bit more blousy. It's usually a little bit more open in its growth habit, and it might get there. Heat, extreme weather, weirdness can do some weird stuff to plants sometimes, but overall I'm so happy with this. And then we've got one container here where we put some more of those 2025s. There's one of the new dahlias in here, the not Wedgwood. This is the Angelonia White. This is not a new one for next year, but it's a beauty. Some of the new unplugged red salvia. It's just coming back into bloom. You can see right here. It's got buds all over it. Tiara Blue Supertunia, and then the Stardiva Blue Scaevola. And you guys, that is it for our mid-July tour. What a gift this day has been. Getting the overcast weather. I mean, we're still sweating it up out here, but had it been sunny out like it has been, I don't think we would be able to do it. I think the cameras would just continually overheat. Things look a little bit more harsh. I mean, you guys know when it's full sun, it can look kind of orange and harsh shadows and stuff. So anyway, it's just so nice that we were able to get out here and show you what it looks like mid-July in the middle of an extreme heat wave. You know, some things look awesome, some things look tired, and we have a lot of work to do. But all that work we'll keep, and we'll wait till it's a little bit more mild out, because even we don't like to get out when it's, you know, 108 degrees outside. It's just too much. Thankfully, we do cool off, so mornings are pretty nice. Like this morning when I was out working, it was probably 8 o'clock this morning, and it was comfortable. And the breeze is nice as well. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this July tour. We will see you in the next one. Bye.